Tonight, we journey into the shadows of ancient myths, where blood was sacred, the dead walked the earth, and creatures of the night were feared. Vampires. For centuries, these bloodthirsty fiends have haunted our nightmares and captivated our imaginations. But are they just tales from the darkest corners of folklore, or could they be something far more real? From ancient legends to modern-day vampires, are we dealing with nothing more than superstition, or is there a darker truth lurking in the night? Tonight, we uncover the history of the undead and explore if the vampire myth could be more than just a myth. Welcome to Bellows from Beyond. The vampire as we know it today, pale-skinned, bloodthirsty, immortal, did not simply emerge from the imagination of one storyteller. No, the vampire myth is as old as civilization itself. In ancient cultures across the world, there were stories of creatures that defied death, hungered for the blood of the living, and caused death in their wake. In Mesopotamia, the Lilitu, a demoness believed to prey on newborns, was one of the earliest figures resembling what we think of as a vampire today. In ancient Greece, legends like that of Empusa and Lamia, both female monsters who seduced and drained the life force of men, echo similar themes of vampiric behavior. But it wasn't until the Slavic regions of Eastern Europe in the Middle Ages that the modern vampire took its true form. Here, the dead were not only believed to rise from their graves, they were said to consume the blood of the living. To these ancient people, the vampire was not just a creature of myth, it was a real and terrifying force. They were often seen as revenants, the risen dead who could not find peace. Whether it was due to an improper burial, a natural death, or a curse, these restless spirits were believed to seek vengeance on the living by drinking their blood. But could this just be superstition, or could there be something more to these stories? Across history, the vampire myth has appeared in countless forms. In Romania, Vlad the Impaler, a ruler whose cruelty became legendary, was said to have inspired the most famous vampire myth of all, Dracula. Vlad, though a real historical figure, had a reputation for drinking the blood of his enemies, reportedly even dipping his bread into their blood. But was his gruesome behavior the cause of vampire myths? Or could there be a deeper, darker truth behind the legend? And then, there are the mass graves found throughout Eastern Europe. Bodies with stakes driven through their hearts, decapitated heads, and other signs of vampire slaying. Was this simply a misunderstanding of disease, or did ancient people have a reason to believe that the dead could come back to harm the living? Tuberculosis, a disease that causes pale skin, coughing, and blood, was often blamed for outbreaks in the 16th and 17th centuries. In the pre-scientific age, how else could they explain sudden, unexplained deaths? Vampires were a way to make sense of an unseen terror, a disease that spread quietly in the shadows, much like the legends themselves. But the fear of vampires didn't just stop with their physical existence. The curse they carried with them was also deadly. In Slavic folklore, if a vampire bit you, you became one. The same curse passed on to the next generation, like an eternal cycle. But it wasn't just the bite that was dangerous. Vampires were believed to have the power to control the living, to bring sickness, to spread madness, to curse entire towns. In fact, during the vampire hysteria of the 1700s in Europe, entire communities would be gripped by fear. People would exhume bodies, look for signs of vampirism, things like bloated corpses, blood around the mouth, or nail growth, and then enact horrific rites to destroy these so-called vampires. These events are some of the darkest episodes in European history, but they also raise the question, Were these just people suffering from fear and superstition, or were they witnessing something real? Fast forward to today, and the vampire myth is far from dead. In fact, it has evolved, morphing into something that stretches beyond folklore. In the modern world, there are people who claim to be vampires, self-identified individuals who drink human blood, avoid sunlight, and practice occult rituals to sustain their immortality. These modern-day vampires often describe a psychic or physical need for blood, something that goes beyond mere fantasy or kink. They talk of a ritualistic need for the energy they gain through blood consumption. In cities around the world, there are blood-drinking communities, where members exchange blood as part of their lifestyle. Some even claim to avoid sunlight, citing health reasons or an inner spiritual calling. But these practices go deeper than just a desire for blood. Many of these modern vampires engage in occult rituals, believing that consuming blood has spiritual significance, linking them to ancient vampiric powers. Is this simply a psychological phenomenon, or is there something darker at play? Could it be that these modern-day vampires are more connected to the ancient legends than we realize? But not all modern vampires are solitary figures. In fact, some have formed secretive vampire cults, groups that practice bloodletting rituals, often within an occult context. These cults believe in the transference of power through blood. They see themselves as immortal beings, not because of any supernatural gift, but because they've tapped into the hidden knowledge of the ancients. Some even claim to have mastered death, avoiding the aging process through rituals that are rooted in ancient practices. These cults mix vampire lore with alchemy, witchcraft, and demonology, creating a dark web of beliefs that crosses over from myth to reality. In cities across the world, rumors swirl about underground societies where members drink blood in ceremonial rites, exchanging life force in a perverse bid for power and immortality. Could these modern-day cults really have discovered the secret to eternal life, or are they just lost souls chasing an illusion? As we've explored tonight, the line between myth and reality is a thin one. Vampires, whether ancient or modern, represent our deepest fears and desires. Fear of death, fear of the unknown, and the hunger for eternal life. But could there be more truth to these tales than we realize? Could ancient stories of blood-drinking monsters risen from the grave actually have been based on real events or practices? The rise of modern vampire subcultures suggests that, at the very least, the myth is alive, and in some cases may even be lived. So the question remains, are vampires real, or are they just the darkest corner of our collective imagination, waiting to be explored? As we close tonight's journey through the world of vampires, both ancient and modern, we're left with one question. What's the true nature of these creatures of myth and fear? Are they simply figments of our imagination? Or could they be something much darker, something that still walks among us today? From blood-drinking cults to centuries-old legends, the vampire myth continues to haunt us, never fully revealed and never fully forgotten. If you found tonight's story as chilling as I did, remember to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Join us again next time as we unravel even more of the hidden mysteries that history tried to bury. Until then, remember, some legends never die. They only wait in the darkness, into the beyond.